Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Bhagavad Gita ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Hare Krishna. Welcome back everyone. So we are happy to move ahead. Semester starting, our next chapter is starting. It seems like we do one chapter each semester. We started in fall, we finished first chapter. In spring we did second chapter. In summer we finished third chapter. And now it's beginning fall of 2021. Hopefully we'll cover this in this semester. So we have one chapter each semester. Welcome back Anil Prabhu. Hare Krishna Aditya. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
and Hare Krishna Deepa Mataji. Welcome
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So today I'm going to give some, we have some new audience, Mandip, Hare Krishna Mandip. So we'll do some kind of a review of previous chapters we went through, and then at the end we will read to the Gita text. So I'm going to begin with sharing PowerPoint and see. So go through the summaries and all. Okay. So let's see where I'm going to share this one, I think. Okay, slideshow. You guys can see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are moving to chapter 4. The title of chapter 4 is Transcendental Knowledge. Anybody remember what was the title of chapter 3?
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga, thank you. And what about chapter 2? Somebody else? You can look into your book. Okay. Any volunteer? Contents of Gita summarized, right? Summary of Gita. So chapter 2 was kind of overview of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna covered all aspects of different kind of yogas. And what is the title of chapter 1?
Is it something like about the battlefield?
You see on the left side here, observing the armies. Right? Yeah, you're right. It's a different word. You paraphrased it. That's good. Yeah. So chapter 1, how it begins? Dhritarashtra is asking to his secretary Sanjay, my son and Pandu's son, they assemble in battlefield. What did they do? And it's obvious that they're going to fight. But he was asking, he was afraid of losing the battle because he knows that Krishna is with Pandu's son. And then the battle is happening in Kurukshetra, which is Dharma Kshetra, which is the pious land, and where the probability of winning by the pious people is better than impious son of Dhritarashtra. So he was afraid, he asked. Anyway, so Sanjay starts narrating Bhagavad Gita. So Sanjay is the secretary of Dhritarashtra, right? And he had that divine vision from his Guru Vyasdev. So he could see what is going on in the battlefield. He starts telling that both parties assemble, they blow their conch shells, and they are ready to fight. Arjuna come forward and pulled his arrow, and then he saw that both side his relatives, opposite side his cousins, and his own brothers, his own side. And so his body starts shaking, perspiring, trembling, and he tells Arjuna tells to Krishna that, I don't want to fight, because he says, I don't want to kill my relatives. So many people will be killed here. So I will get sinful reaction by killing my seniors, my grandfather, teachers. He also tells that after they are dead, we cannot enjoy anything. Even if we win the kingdom, whom I am going to show it? The people whom I am going to show, they are gone. So what is the fun in winning? So I cannot enjoy. And then he says, like, so many people get killed, and there will be destruction of family traditions. Like the ancestors will not get the oblations, the offerings, and they will fall down. The people, the descending generation, they will engage in sinful activities because they don't know the culture of the family. So those were the arguments. And in chapter 2, he continues his argument. In chapter 2, verse 6, he says, I don't know what is good for me, whether to fight or not to fight. I'm confused. Now please instruct me. And he surrenders in verse 7 in chapter 2. He says, I am your disciple, a soul surrendered to you. Please give me instruction. I don't know what is my duty now. So, this is the practical science, Bhagavad Gita, right? Most of the time, we come across a difficult decision to make, right? Right? Whether whether we should travel nowadays, right? Whether we should travel or not travel. Whether people are asking whether I should take the COVID shot or not take the COVID shot. So many questions, right? Whether I got the COVID, should I go to hospital or stay home? So many difficult decision to make, right? So one needs transcendental education from someone who knows better than us. We need guidance from someone who knows better than us. So Arjuna surrenders to his Guru Krishna. Krishna is Adi Guru. So now moving on to chapter 2, Lord Krishna starts giving transcendental knowledge, right? He gives Sankhya philosophy from verse 11 onwards. He says, there was never a time when you did not exist, I did not exist, or any one of these did not exist. There was never a time that we will not be existing. That means we were there in the past, we are here right now assembled, and we will be there in the future. The eternal nature of the cells is something inside your body, right? The body is simply a covering. So body is always changing, but the soul never changes. Body is always changing, right? Even in our own lifetime, even we have certain identity. Like we are known by our ID, that we are born in so and so places. We have a date of birth, we have place of birth, we have a birth certificate. So we know by our parents, and then we keep on moving in different shape and size of body, right? So the body is always changing, and similarly at the death we will change body. The soul is eternal. I mean, I am myself. I was baby, and then now a young man, now getting older. Sometime I have to leave my body, right? So leaving the body, that does not mean that soul is killed, right? That's what Lord Krishna says. The soul is always eternal. Do your duty. You're not going to kill anybody. There is no sin, because you're not killing actually. So then he says, well, you think that you cannot enjoy, then just because you are Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. So you do, at least you can become happy by doing your karma as per the code of the scripture, that as a Kshatriya you fight in the battle. If you die, you go to the heaven. The Kshatriyas, when they fight in the battlefield, when they die, they go to heavenly planets. And if they win the kingdom within this earth, right? So both were win-win situation. He says, okay, you still have to fight because you want to enjoy. So you will get enjoyment, don't worry. It's a further higher than that, he gives the knowledge. Then you do karma yoga with buddhi, with intelligence. That means you get detached from the fruit of the work. You work, you fight here without attachment to the results. Do your duty, because you are designed, like you are a doctor, you treat the patient. Whether patient die or leave, ultimately it's in a superior control. But a doctor has to try best. Like the student has to prepare for exam and answer to the best ability, and whatever result comes, leave it up to higher authority, right? So higher than that is that you do everything with surrender to Krishna. You do it because Krishna wants. So that means Krishna is responsible for the result. So if we work on behalf of Krishna, that means we are Krishna's worker. We are Krishna's employee. Krishna is saying that you are supposed to do what I desire ultimately. That is intelligence. So that means you don't have a desire for the fruit, but you desire the result for Krishna, for pleasure of Krishna. And when we do such work, then what happens? We don't get any reaction of the work we do. There is no sinful reaction. There is no pap. There is no reaction of working on behalf of Krishna. Therefore, we have to work. That is the art of work, working without attachment for pleasure of Krishna. And then Arjuna asks, like, what is the one who is doing such work? What is the symptom of such perfected soul, who is self-realized and who is fully dedicated, dedicating his work to you? So what is the symptom? And Krishna gives so many symptoms. He does not get entangled in the sense enjoyment. He is balanced in sukha and dukha, or that means in happiness and miseries. And he has a higher taste. He can do. He can give up the desire for sense enjoyment, because he got the higher taste. The higher taste is the relationship with Krishna, the loving relationship with Krishna. When we love Krishna, then we can forget the miserable situation in this world. So a self-realized soul, Atma Rama, we said, Atma Rama or Sthita Pragya. Sthita Pragya ka kya bhasa? That's what Arjuna was asking. Yes, what is his speech, how he walks, how he sits, how he controls his senses, how he uses his senses, right? So he says, a self-realized person uses his senses like a tortoise. Tortoise uses pulls out the limb whenever there is a need, and then when there is no need, and it pulls it back to its shell. So like that, a self-realized soul uses his senses only in Krishna's service, otherwise doesn't use them. Krishna also tells that one who does not engage in that Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, one who is not connected to me with love and devotion, then he cannot have a steady mind. So unless we have developed that love for Krishna, doing everything for Krishna, then we will have disturbed mind, because we don't know what to do in life. We have so many things to do, we cannot focus. So there is no peace. Ashantasya kutah sukham. So there is, if you are not having shanti, there is no peace, then there is no sukha, no happiness. So that was chapter 2. And then in chapter 3, Lord Krishna tells about Karma Yoga. In the beginning, Arjuna is asking, Lord Krishna, you told me about Buddhi Yoga, right? So you told me about Buddhi Yoga, and also you told me to work. So why you give me equivocal instructions? Something confusing here. Arjuna thought that Buddhi Yoga means retirement. You just retire from the active work, and then just use your intelligence, study the scripture, and then you don't have to do your occupational duty. So he wanted to clarify that for all of us. Actually, Arjuna is put into this situation by Krishna so that he can give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to all of us. So Lord Krishna answers that actually, Arjuna, I gave you one process, but there are different stages of that. These are two different stages. There are two types of self-realized, the method of self-realization: Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga is just to know the soul is different from the body. That's what he told in chapter 2, right? You are not this body, but your eternal soul. Body is perishable, soul is eternal. And then he says you have to work in Buddhi Yoga. That means Nishkam Karma Yoga. Now, what is the result of that? Working in Nishkam Karma Yoga, that you will get transcendental knowledge. Your senses will be purified. And he says those who are perfected souls, those who are in knowledge, then they perform with this surrender of their work to me, without self-motivation, without envy, and they are not lethargic, and they are following my directions. So, and if you don't follow my direction, then he says, like, you will your life will be miserable. That's what he says, right? In verse 31, 32. 31, he says, those who follow this, their life become perfect. Those who do not follow, they fall down, gradually go down. Arjuna asked the question that, I want to do like that. I want to be like that. But my senses pull me down. I have a tendency, as if someone is pulling me down. I'm not able to focus. So what is it? Why am I pulled into sinful tendencies? So the last section of chapter 3, Kama esa krodha esa rajoguna samudbhava. So Lord Krishna says that it's because of the Kama or the lust. The lust. So material desire, any material desire is lust, but the gross material form of the lust, as we know, is very much binding to this material world. The lust binds us, and lust covers the intelligence, right? It is sitting on our senses, our mind, and our intelligence, and it binds us in this material world. Because of lusty desires, we want to enjoy our material senses. Therefore, Krishna gives material body, and we get to be in this material world to enjoy according to our lusty desires. So he says, overcome this lust by spiritual intelligence, by transcendental knowledge, basically. Right? And also he also tells that those who are in this perfect knowledge, they are working in Nishkam Karma Yoga. They set example for others, and they do not disturb others. They let them, whatever stage others are, they let them do their work and gradually let them progress. And Srila Prabhupada gives example. Although Krishna is saying here that one should not disturb those who are attached to the senses, but Krishna's devotees, they are very much compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls in the material world. They are compassionate. They want everybody to go back to Godhead and live happily forever in love with Krishna. They don't want people to be suffering in this material world. That's what our spiritual teachers they do. So Prabhupada came to America at very advanced age because he did not want people be suffering all over the world. And because he came here, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita went all over the world. This print of Bhagavad Gita, which we read, Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's available in almost all the major languages of the world. It's available even in Chinese, in Arabic. Arabic and Chinese Gitas are like most sold Gita. The growth of sale of this Chinese and Arabic Gita is very much increasing nowadays. And of course, we have all like European language, Dutch, German, Swedish, of course, English we have. And so we have in Indian languages, in Telugu, Tamil, Malayali, Odia, Bengali, whatever language your mother tongue is, you can get this Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada came to give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to us. So now we are coming to chapter 4. So as we went through the summary of chapter 3, Lord Krishna told what covers our knowledge. It is the lust, and because of the knowledge gets covered, excuse me, and we become ignorant and bound in the material world. So what is the escape? He told, get the transcendental knowledge. How to get the transcendental knowledge? Perform Karma Yoga. Begin Karma Yoga. And do your Karma Yoga without attachment to the fruit, offering everything to me. Do not claim proprietorship and do not be lazy. That's the verse 30 of chapter 3. So by working like that, one gets realization and transcendental knowledge, which elevates one and to the transcendental knowledge, because we get purified by performing Karma Yoga and ISKCON Karma Yoga, purified from material desires. Our lusty desires gets finished and we are established in transcendental knowledge. Now in this chapter 4, Lord Krishna will continue without asking any question by Arjuna. Lord Krishna continues and he tells how this knowledge is coming and what is this knowledge and how we should receive this knowledge. So this is about chapter 4, transcendental knowledge. There are 5 sections in this chapter. First 10 verses about transcendental knowledge, how it is coming, and about Krishna, how Krishna comes, why Krishna comes, and the activity he performs. And next 5 verses, he gives application for the transcendental knowledge. Another 9 verses, he tells about the performing karma under the transcendental knowledge. Another 8 verses, then about the sacrifices which lead to the transcendental knowledge. And the last section is about conclusion, the summary of transcendental knowledge. So it's all about transcendental knowledge. First couple of them is about what is transcendental knowledge and how to apply, and further application under karma and yajna, and summary about this chapter. So here is a further breakdown of the summary within section A from verse 1 to 10. So today hopefully we will cover verse 1 to 3, and in this section Lord Krishna tells about how this knowledge is coming to us. He spoke this knowledge first time to sun god Vivashwan, and then gradually it is coming down by the saintly kings. But there was some break in between. So now Lord Krishna wants to revive this knowledge through Arjuna. Okay, so we'll move on. I will read the Sanskrit verse and somebody can read the translation. Volunteers, welcome. Verse 4.1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivashvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivashman Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Okay. Somebody volunteer?
The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, I instructed the imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed to Ikshvaka.
Thank you. So Lord Krishna is telling that this knowledge is imperishable science of yoga. This yoga. So now we think that yoga is just stretching your body and showing different poses. That is just a yoga asana. That's the one component of yoga. But this book, Bhagavad Gita, is book of yoga. Every chapter has Sanskrit name by yoga. Even first chapter is Arjun Vishad Yoga. Right? So now this is Jnana Yoga, this chapter. So Karma Yoga was last chapter. So this is an imperishable science of yoga. This is eternal, imperishable. It never perishes. This is coming down from the Lord Krishna himself. So this is the knowledge. It is not that first time it is given to Arjuna, but it was given earlier. It was given to sun god Vivashwan. And Vivashwan, who is the sun god, means the king or the presiding deity of the sun planet. Like we have Bhumi of the earth planet, representative deity, Bhumi of this earth. Like that, for sun planet, Vivashwan. And for moon planet, Soma. So the presiding deity, sun god Vivashwan, was given this transcendental light. Sun is full of light. So Krishna is the original source of light. So he enlightens sun god Vivashwan first. And then sun god Vivashwan gives to Manu, his descendant Manu. Then from Manu, the human generation, like before that, the Devata or the demigod, higher beings. Then in human generation on earth, Manu, father of mankind, then he instructs to his son Ikshvaku, and then gradually it's coming. So this knowledge is coming in established succession, directly coming from Lord Krishna. And we are actually getting this knowledge as it is. Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita is as it is, because it is handed down successively from Lord Krishna himself. So gradually it is coming under the disciplic succession, like guru, then disciple, and then next disciple, then next disciple, and it has come to us through His Holiness, His divine grace, Abhacharanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So he has given us translation in English, and he writes as it is desired by Lord Krishna. This knowledge is not like a ascending process. It's not like a empirical process that like we generate knowledge by doing some experiment in lab. This knowledge by experiment we cannot understand, because those who have attended Science of Self-Realization module with us, we know that every human being has 4 defects, and those are imperfect senses. And what is the next one, Prachi?
We illusion, like we tend, because we have imperfect sense, we make wrong decisions.
Illusion. Yeah, illusion. Yeah. And then? And we have tendency to make mistake, right?
Mistakes, yeah.
Yeah. And then 4th one is a tendency to cheat others. Because you don't know perfectly, and then we try to make our own philosophy, that means we are cheating. Instead of teaching, we are cheating because we are manufacturing our own philosophy with imperfect senses. So the process of knowing God, so it is like we have not been there. So how to know about God? If God tells himself about himself, right? So we have to receive this in established succession from those who has learned from Krishna. When we are accepting this knowledge from a spiritual master or guru who is coming in this Guru Sishya Parampara, in this chain of established succession, that means we are getting this knowledge from Krishna without break, as it is. So the importance of giving this knowledge to the royal orders of the kings is because the kings, what do? Their duty is to protect the citizens, right? They protect the citizens, not only their bodies and their bodily demands, but the duty of a king is also to protect the citizens from the bondage of lust. They want to protect them from the lust so that they can get relief from the cycle of birth, death, and old age and disease, the samsara. So the duty of king is to facilitate that atmosphere where this culture of knowledge can be propagated. It's the duty of king to promote the teachers, the spiritual teachers, to facilitate them so that citizens can take advantage of the transcendental knowledge, and they can overcome the lusty desires and and they can eternally, reestablish their relationship with God in love and devotion. So saintly kings should create the atmosphere by education, by culture, and by devotion. And by that they can help their citizens to lead a successful path back to Godhead. Ultimately, that is the goal of human life, to go back to Godhead. Because in this material world, we are suffering because of our own mind and senses. Our mind is not under control, right? We want to do something, but we are not yet focused. So because of our own mind and senses, because we tend to do something which harms even our body. So we are suffering because of our own mind and senses. We are suffering because of our because of the nature. Like there was some thunderstorm, one may get struck by thunder. Now we are suffering because of the other living entities. Right now we are suffering because of the virus. We may be suffering because of the bugs. So we are suffering in this material world. And the ultimate solution is to go back to God. And there is duty of the kingly order, or the Kshatriyas or the king, Raja Rishis, to facilitate that. So here is a history. Srila Prabhupada will give this in detail, that there are 4 yugas, and in Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta, and Satya Yuga. And each yuga is like more than the Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is like 432,000 years. Dwapar Yuga is double than that. And then Treta Yuga is 3 times Kali Yuga, and Satya Yuga is 4 times Kali Yuga, the duration. So we can see that this knowledge is coming since very long time. So Ikshwaku time is like about 2 million years. Srila Prabhupada gives estimate that this knowledge is coming at least from 2 million years ago to the human beings. That means coming from Treta Yuga. And the knowledge Lord Krishna gave to Vivaswan is like 120 million years ago. So it's like a history. It's not that something like manufactured today by someone. It's eternal knowledge. So in verse 2, Lord Krishna says, Evam parampara apraptam imam rajarsayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoga nasta parantapa. Okay, who is there? Deepa Mataji?
The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost.
Yes. So there is some breakage because of somebody not following properly, somebody deviating from the path of Lord Krishna's instruction, and gradually their followers again deviate, and so kind of it's diluted and lost. So Lord Krishna wants to revive it again. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that we must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, and without our own whimsical participation in the matter. That means we should not add our own impurity, because Bhagavad Gita is pure. Krishna's words are pure. We should not manufacture the idea like, this Kurukshetra war is not real. There is your body is Kurukshetra, and your mind is Arjuna, this and that. There are so many types of like whimsical guesswork. People try to kind of become creative and try to show their scholarship on Bhagavad Gita, which is all not acceptable, because Krishna's words are pure. It has to be coming to us purely. So Srila Prabhupada tells us that we should not wrongly interpret or build it or do our own creativity. We should accept as Krishna is conveying. We should understand Krishna's desire, and only we can understand it because Krishna's pure devotee explained to us. Srila Prabhupada is Krishna's pure devotee, so he can understand Krishna's desire, and how he can understand. This verse explains, verse 3. Sa evayam mayate adya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam etaduttamam. Aditya.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare
That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science.
Thank you. So as we notice here that Krishna is reviving this through his own friend and devotee. So Srila Prabhupada tells us that we have to also become Krishna's friend. We have to open our heart, we become Krishna's friend, and we should be ready to hear from Krishna. And we should become devotee. Who is a devotee? Devotee means one who loves Krishna. So when we love Krishna, when we become Krishna's friend, then this knowledge can reveal. Then we can understand Krishna's words. Then this knowledge is not theoretical, but then we can realize it in our heart. So that means we are fertile to get this knowledge. That means we have to have that positive attitude, loving attitude towards Krishna. Then we can understand this. So otherwise, even if we have PhD or postdoc, or even if you have published like thousands of papers and you have got so many research grants, or you may have made so many software programs or whatever, or you're writing volumes of books, this knowledge may not sink in the heart, because this knowledge, Krishna says, it is rahasyam. We cannot understand it. We cannot understand it just by material senses. Atah Sri Krishna Namadi Nam Bhavet Grahya Indriya. So by our material senses, we cannot understand. We have to open our heart. We have to have the spiritual senses. And the spiritual senses revive when we serve Krishna. Beginning with serving Krishna, using our tongue in Krishna's service by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we are chanting, we are connecting with Krishna. We are praying to Krishna to engage us in his service. And when he is pleased by our prayers, by our love, then he reveals. So this is a secret, confidential knowledge, and that can be understood only by a friend and devotee. So at least we may not have developed fully our love, we're just beginning. So we should have the friendly attitude. Anybody have any question while I'm transitioning from the PowerPoint to the Gita text? Any discussion?
Yeah, one quick question, Prabhu. Like you said that like disciple succession is broken.
Yeah.
The disciple chain is broken. So I just want to know, like, how come it is broken?
The knowledge is always eternal. Always eternal. Okay. The only thing is broken means like it is not in the material world. Like it's not in the material world, but it is always there in the spiritual world. Okay. So the knowledge is never lost. Krishna is always there. His pure devotees are always in the spiritual world. The knowledge is always there. Only in the material world, some people they deviate. So some people, start manufacturing their own ideas. They do not exactly follow what Lord Krishna says. So, slowly there is a deviation, then they forget. For example, there are some rituals. People do some rituals because there is some reason, right? You have to wash your foot before coming to temple because you don't want impurity to enter in the temple. So you know that why you are washing your foot before you come to temple. Right? So there are some rituals that we don't understand and we just keep doing it. And that becomes deviation. Like you don't understand the logic behind what Krishna is saying, but you just do it as a ritual. And then that means you will wrongly apply those rituals, right? So you can say, oh, instead of washing my foot here, I just sprinkle some water and then I just purified my leg. I mean, it just become ritual, right? You did not actually wash your foot. So I'm giving example. Another example is Srila Prabhupada gives example like a machi mara. He says machi mara. He says machi is like in Bengali, like they say, what is that? The fly. So one time, one student in ashram, he saw like there was a fly in their book, and he was taking notes. He was taking notes from the book, and then he saw that there is the fly is sticking on the page of the book. So because he is copying that book, he thought that, oh, here I need a fly to be stuck in this page. So he searched the fly and then he smacked one fly and stuck into a page. So he just is a deviation, right? Are you trying to get what I'm trying to say? Not understanding the essence, but just doing for the sake of ritual. So that becomes deviation, and then the purpose of why Krishna is teaching something is lost. Is that making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I mean, I was a little bit confused with the fly, the concept of fly.
Concept of?
I mean, like when you're saying something about the fly, I didn't understand correctly.
Oh, okay. I say like somebody by mistake did that. The fly was stuck there, and then his teachers did not tell him to stick a fly in the book. It was by mistake someone did that. There was some fly stuck there, okay, by chance. So these guys thought that, okay, sticking the fly is also a knowledge, part of knowledge. So it's a kind of not getting like deviating from the essence of the knowledge. That's what I'm saying. Like doing some ritual without logic. Is that clear now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, we can also do some further discussion on that. Srila Prabhupada will also tell us in the purport, and after that we can do some further discussion on that. There may be some few more points on that, how it gets deviated. Ultimately, it's by by someone not exactly understanding the essence, not understanding Krishna's heart. That's why so many people have given so many interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, not understanding the essence of what Krishna is trying to convey. Okay, 4.1. Sri Bhagavan Ovacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Abhyam Vivashwan Manave Praha Manurikshva Kave Bravit. Okay, translation. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivashwan. And Vivashwan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Okay, so who has not read? Mandeep, you want to read purport, please?
Herein we find the history of Bhagavad Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. The kings of all planets are especially made for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to able to rule the citizen and protect them from material bondage to lust. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the executive head of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to citizens by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of human form of life. In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system. And this is the next one in the Brahma Samhita. It is stated that it is done, or I should continue, sir.
I can read the Sanskrit part now, and then yeah, somebody else can read after that. Thank you. Yeah. Yachakshur esa savita sakala grahanam raja samastha suramurti rashesha teja Yashyagaya brahmati sambrahma kala chakro govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Okay, who is next to read? Everybody read at least once?
I will read, I didn't.
Okay.
Let me worship, Lord Brahma said. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person and under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. The sun is king of the planets, and the sun god, at present of the name Vishwan, rules the sun planet, which is controlling all other planets by supplying heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vishwan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad Gita. The Gita is not, therefore, a speculative treatise for the insignificant mundane scholar, but is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial. In the Mahabharata, Santi Parva 348.51 and 52, we can trace out the history of the Gita as follows.
You can just read the English part, that's fine.
In the beginning of the millennium known as Treta Yuga, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vishwan to Manu. Manu, being the father of the mankind, gave it to his son Maharaja Ikshvaku, the king of this earth planet and forefather of Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramchandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaja Ikshvaku. At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. Before this, there was a Drapa Yuga, 800,000 years, and before that, there was a Treta Yuga, 12 billion, million,
1.2 million.
1.2 million years. Thus, some
2 million.
2 million years ago, Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of the current Manu is calculated to the last some 3 million. It's more than it's 30
305
billion,
million.
305 million years, of which 120 million have passed. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord of his disciple, the sun god Viswan, a rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least 120 million years ago. And in human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. It was re-spoken by the Lord again to Arjuna and 5,000 years ago, about 5,000 years ago. That is the rough estimate of the history of Gita. According to the Gita itself and according to the version of the speaker, Lord Sri Krishna, it was spoken to sun god Viswan because he is also a Kshatriya and is the father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god or the Surya Vamsi Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is aporasya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own way, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession, and it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku.
Yes. So this knowledge is coming in established succession directly from Lord Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is as good as Vedas because Lord Krishna himself is speaking. Vedas are also breathing from the Lord, and this knowledge is apaurushraya, beyond the reach of the human, so superhuman, apaurushraya. And Srila Prabhupada gave us so much detailed calculation of the different ages and how this ancient science is being imparted to Arjuna in the established succession of the saintly kings. Now let's read the verse 2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarsayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoganasta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of established succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appeared to be lost. Let's see, Anil Prabhu, can you read? We'll see some of the questions may be answered here.
Yes, it is clearly said that the God was especially meant for the
No,
saintly.
Gita. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, it is the purport only, Prabhu.
Yes, purport, yeah.
Yeah, it is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita is never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was rejected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. The same way, at the present moment, also there were so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to the authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. The spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara, disciplic succession system, an attempt is made here with to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity, but it is accepted as a treasure of philosophical speculations. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time.
So, Prabhu, did you get some answer from this purport? I was
Yes,
trying
Prabhu.
to explain, but I think Srila Prabhupada gives you a complete picture like why it was
Yes.
lost.
Yes, Prabhu, I got it.
So the main thing here we learn is because of the unscrupulous commentators, right?
Yes.
Because they are trying to show their speculations, like guesswork, like some impersonalists, they say that God means somebody who is impersonal within Krishna's body. So they think that Krishna's body is like a human body, but God is a spirit within Krishna's body, like that. There are some other commentators, they say that Krishna is not actually God, but he is a Superman, something like that. So there are so many, like Prabhupada is saying, like so many translations in English or the commentary in English, and people, there are department of religions or philosophy, and they want to publish books so that they want a promotion in their career, or so they want to prove that they have some creativity. So they just put their own opinion, imperfect opinion, and because of that, the essence of this knowledge is lost. Right? Is there something you want to share? Any addition that you want to do based on your reading?
So, like, so people are publishing their books of Bhagavad Gita to do some business, and by doing their interpretations on their own, just to make money out of it.
Yes.
And so that's what the conclusion of this purport.
Yes. So unless one is a devotee, one cannot understand the heart of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is coming into that devotional disciplic succession. So he can understand heart of Krishna, and he can explain to us what exactly Krishna wants from us. Some of the interpretations or translations are completely opposite. If you read some of the impersonalist commentary of Bhagavad Gita, it looks very funny. Like Krishna is directly saying, "Avajananti mam mudha manusham tanu masritam." He says like, fools and rascals do not know me if I come in the human form. So anyway, we will learn that in chapter 9. So verse 3, Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. Who is next? Anybody? Maybe Deepa Mataji, you can read better, I think.
Yeah.
You can read translation and purport both here.
Translation. The very ancient science of the relationship with Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There is a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna consciousness. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So again, emphasis is that one should understand this under a teacher who is in established succession. Srila Prabhupada is our teacher of Bhagavad Gita in English, and he is coming in established succession. In fact, when you turn your pages in a hard copy, after the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, the end of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, there is a established succession. Lord Krishna, and then who knowledge given by Lord Krishna, then afterwards who received it. And so that there is a chain of established succession, it is coming as it is to us. So we are really very fortunate to study the Bhagavad Gita as it is, not the interpretation by the demons. Demons means not like somebody have like an ugly feature or something they show in movie. Demons means someone who does not accept God's instruction, who reject Krishna's instruction. They are demons. Those who follow Krishna's instruction, they are devotees. But those who do not follow Krishna's instruction, they are demons. Krishna is saying in this book that everything is coming from me. You surrender to me. You offer me simple things. You always remember me, whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you donate, whatever you eat. You simply remember me, you offer to me. You offer your life to me. So these are the different instructions given by Krishna. But then there are like people, they just want to study this Bhagavad Gita. They say secular, we are secular people, so we don't accept any God. This nature came automatically. Krishna is saying that everything is coming from me, and if we want to know how everything is coming, there is a Srimad Bhagavatam. Systematically he tells how he expands into different expansions, how Vishnu expansion comes to this material world, and how he is breathing out different universes, and he enters into each universe, and then again he creates Brahma, and then Brahma creates variety in this material world. So all these details are given. But impersonalist people, they will say, oh, God is ultimately does not have any form. You are also God, I am also God. After you die, your soul and God become one. There is no difference between God and you after you die. Only right now you are separate from God. It is just like air inside a pot. The pot is broken, the air from the pot is mixed with the larger air in atmosphere. It is like that. So it's like everything is God, you are God, I am God. And so this kind of mixed knowledge is not acceptable, because we learn in chapter 2 that Krishna says, you are always separate yourself. I am always eternal myself. These all kings who are assembled in battlefield, they are all individuals in the past, present, and future. Where is the question of merging into one? So Srila Prabhupada, when you read that verse 11, in chapter 2, you will understand like how we are all eternally, we are part and parcel, in the sense we are connected with Krishna eternally. We are his part, but that does not mean that we lose our identity. We always have our identity. And our goal of human life is to revive that relationship with Krishna, because right now we are covered, like in chapter 3 we learned, like we are covered by lust, like material desires. That means lust. We are covered, and we have to basically uncover that. And then the process is the knowledge of Lord Krishna, and we will learn from this chapter. So any further discussion? So let's say one sentence take away message from everyone, so that we are in same page before we leave. This is really very, very important section. When we understand this section, everything becomes very easy to understand Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So let's begin with Aditya. You are A. So then after that Anil. So you are A. It's like if I do alphabetical, Aditya is on top, right? So just one sentence, take away message.
Sir, like we should try to follow the Bhagavad Gita as it is, as compared to like other Gita's edition, because like they might lead us to other direction, and that won't be useful to us in like.
In developing our relationship with Krishna, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you,
Anil Prabhu.
So we should learn Bhagavad Gita from the spiritual masters who are following that from long time, like through the chain of disciples. So we have to make sure that we are following the Bhagavad Gita through the spiritual masters only, and we should not try to follow the Bhagavad Gita by reading some unnecessary books where it is interpreted.
Very good, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, who is now M? M for Mandeep.
If you want to really understand the Gita, then you have to follow like a true devotee. If you are like a criticizer or demon, then you would not able to understand, because on the basic facts, on basic understandings, you are putting questions on them.
Very good, very good. You have to become friendly, open your heart, and become devotee.
Yeah.
Yes. Then we can understand. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, then N for NAUSA. Sorry, you should have been earlier, but Deepa Mataji.
Yeah, actually, the great this one which I have learned today is that we should not read Bhagavad Gita just for as a philosophical book. We'll be wasting our time. So basically, it is like to cultivate friendship and love with Krishna. Once we have that connection, then only we'll be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. And from a true disciple, we should not read book from who is not like succession from Arjuna. Actually, it should be from true disciple.
Wonderful. Yeah. Not, we cannot learn from somebody who is not practicing the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
We have to learn from somebody who is actually practicing this in their life. So, thank you so much. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
I have a doubt.
Yes,
Actually.
please.
So basically, long back I had read Bhagavad Gita from this Adi Shankaracharya translation. So basically, he is Advaitic, right? Everything is like soul. Ultimately, our soul is actually God, like God kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
so now that when you said that, it is like it's not like the chapter 2. It is like we are all existing separately, and Krishna also exists separately. So his translation is basically Krishna is saying that just like it is God, our soul is nothing but once we realize our soul, that's how we realize God. Krishna.
Oh, that's what you read there.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Now I'm.
Yeah, so you are the proof for all others. Yeah, I have heard here and there, but I have not read it.
No, I
But,
didn't read from him. I read somebody who was like translated that Nochur Venkatraman. So disclosure is that's translation I heard. So I was in that thing.
where did you read it? In South India?
Malayalam. Malayalam.
Oh.
And that it's not read. I heard. I mean, his disclosure. This is there in that YouTube. So I heard. So basically, that's what. Then now, when you said that, it's not like that. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, Lord Krishna says, "Natvevaham jatu nasam, natva neme janadhipa." Neither I did not exist, nor you did not exist, nor all of this. So he says, "Sarve vayam atah param." So we are all eternal. Not chavana bhavishyama. Not that like we will not exist in the. Not chavani bhavishyama. It is not that like we will cease to exist in the future. Atah param, we are all eternal. Sarve vayam, all of us are eternally individual. This is what Lord Krishna says. It's very clear actually. Even like a very neophyte like me, like I know very simple word Sanskrit. It's not like complex Sanskrit word there. Right? And Lord Krishna is saying like you are individual, I am individual, they are individual, and then simply you are changing your dress. So it's not, he could have said that, like, don't worry, like everybody is one, I am also you, you are also me. He did not say like that. There is never Krishna says like you are me, I am you, or everybody is one. He never says this, Bhagavad Gita. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we have last one, Prachi here, I see.
Hare Krishna. I think everyone have included all the thing, like we have to follow the disciplic succession, and I just want to add like first of all we have to accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, and then follow like a devotional service as maybe fourth step of Arjuna.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. Very grateful to you. And we'll share this recording to the WhatsApp group. Anybody who is interested in learning this great science, please invite them also. Share the link if they are interested. And hopefully we'll smoothly steer on this journey. Chapter 4. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, sir.
Hare-